Ciao, ciao, dosto. Welcome to a special episode of Calcio Charcha. With me, we have the in-house UA panelist, TJ, wearing a classic UA kit. You can see the lotto badges on his sleeves. And as you may have guessed, we are here to talk about UA and what happened. Firstly, TJ, over the weekend, Fiorentina 3, UA nil. Your initial thoughts?
AJ, very much still in the slump from the Atlanta game. I feel like there is a lot of mental recovery that the squad needed, that the team needed. It obviously a week wasn't enough. Truth be told, personally, on a personal level, I saw the loss coming. After Atlanta, I think they knocked the wind out of Juve's sails from a mentality and an environmental point of view. Uh, the margin actually is very secondary. What actually hurt me the most is I just didn't see any reaction. I didn't see the reaction from the players. I didn't see the reaction from the bench. I didn't see the reaction in terms of the substitutes that Motta was bringing on. Del Piero actually said it best. He said your three love down and your first three substitutes are defenders.
Wow.
I can't get to the root of what that thinking is for me. Also, but all that said, it's very hard for this team to have come away with a positive result last night. Given A, what happened with Atlanta, and B, really look at the environment around them. You have papers going Motta out, you have papers going Giuntoli out, you've got papers going that the players are not good enough. How does a unit really recover from that, 7 days apart? It's very hard. It's a very toxic environment at this moment in time. And I think just taking cognizance of that fact, very clear to me that the loss was incoming. I didn't anticipate the margin. I thought it would be a narrow 2-1 or a 2-love kind of loss, but 3-love is just, you know, the goose and the gander. I mean, it's just like, to me, there's no defense. To me,
Yep.
the 4-2-3-1, the double pivot is just not working. The players not reacting. AJ, and also there is a point to note. I keep reading and I keep hearing Motta out, Motta out. Of course, we'll come to that. But where is the responsibility that the players are taking?
Yep.
I see sterile ball possession. This Juventus team has the highest ball possession stats in the league. I think, if I'm not mistaken, tied with Inter. What are they doing with that ball possession? They are number 7 or 8 in terms of creation of opportunity and shots on goal. So what are you doing? I don't want this ball possession. What do I do with it?
Yep.
Right? I mean, if the ball possession is just lateral movement, there's no point. If you're not playing vertically, there is absolutely no point of this ball possession.
Mm.
So A, we have to look at the tactical setup. B, we also have to look at like the players. I mean, the ability. You have Nico Gonzalez coming back to Firenze. You have the team coming in. The Fiorentina Ultras have insulted this team. They've insulted
Yeah.
Nico. Where is the pride of this jersey? Where? I mean,
Yep.
you've been insulted. You show up and you play like you have no balls. Now, that to me is not only Motta's job. That
Yep.
to me is a job that starts from the top, where you have to inhale and breathe this environment. You're the
Yep.
number one club in Italy. You have to show yourself and you have to be counted. You can't, I mean, like, you're being insulted and you're just sitting back down. Like, where's the reaction? Where's the spirit? Where's the grinta?
Yep. And just to add a bit of salt to your wounds, you had your own boy Fagioli, who's still contracted with UA, and you're mentioning no creativity. The lad got 2 assists on the night. Of course, Mandragora did have a UA pass, but Fagioli is still a UA player discarded by Motta. He's not the first. There are many, and for me, it baffles me. How does Keenan Yildiz not get enough time? It baffles me when UA were knocked out of Europe. Why Kefren Thuram wasn't starting games? So as a outsider, I wonder. Like you mentioned, Motta out. But do you think that there are some issues with Motta now coming into this environment and him picking up fights with the players like Danilo? We mentioned, how Danilo went and, you all lost a veteran presence in the locker room. So how much does Motta take in this, entire thing? And what do you think? How do you think he's going to get Juve out of this negative run of results?
I think AJ, Motta from the very start spoke about meritocracy. And, he also in a very recent interview kind of said there are some players who take without giving. It was a
Yeah,
very loaded statement. I don't know who he was alluding to, but it's very clear in terms of the choices of the players he puts on the field. I think to me, it's very clear that Coop Miners will play no matter what. He will play every position in the team. I don't know what it is in terms of that tandem. He has played when he has had fever. Thuram,
yeah,
to me, is Juve's best midfielder. Hasn't played on a crunch night like the Champions League night when we got knocked out. Gildes was on the bench. It is completely baffling unless there is something happening behind the scenes in terms of attitude, unless there is something happening behind the scenes in terms of the way they are training. But it can't be that what is happening is the team that trains and the team that you put on the field is not delivering. So you have to try a new approach. If these guys are not giving their maximum in training, but they are your star players, they have to play because they're bringing an edge and a mentality to the game that your other players are not. And I think,
yeah,
the other part that I think Motta really needs to wrap his head around is the fact that we are now in the mid to end of March. You don't have a starting 11.
oh, yeah,
Inexcusable when you are coaching a team of the caliber of Juventus. I mean, your ideas have to be clear. You have to come from a place of knowing, and if you're dominating that dressing room, which also at this moment in time is debatable because we also, we go back to the start of the season. Gatti was his first captain.
yeah.
Whereas Gatti today, there seems to be a fallout because there's talk that if Motta renews, Gatti wants out. You know, to your
Wow.
point about Fagioli, it's very unfortunate because of the fact that either Motta didn't count on him, Motta didn't count on the likes of Chiesa. He had very
Yeah,
clear ideas, which is the divide in my mind. Because if your ideas are so clear, then why are your personnel not clear?
yeah.
Why do we see like we are now match day, what are we, match day 30, match
30
day
now.
29?
Next.
So
Yeah,
match day 30, why am I seeing 30 different lineups? You are so clear that you don't want Chiesa, you are so clear that you don't want Fagioli, you're so clear that you want Coop Miners, you still don't know where and how to deploy him 30 match days in.
yeah,
So Motta definitely has a role, and as far as I'm concerned, he needs to understand that his continuity as part of this project and developing youngsters is only linked and directly proportional to how much of the dressing room is in favor of him.
hmm.
And I
I,
think that
you
is
know,
something that he's not doing himself any favors with because that lack of clarity is also confusing players. There was a time that
yeah,
McKennie was playing left back. Suddenly now he's playing
yeah,
the pivot in the number 10 role. I mean, just give that guy continuity. Choose the role for him. It can't be that every time a player is playing out of position. Yes, it is a player's duty to play out of position and stand up and be counted or say, I can't play that position. But if
yeah.
you're showing up on that field, you've got to give it your all.
Fair, fair. My next question to you is about the like you mentioned briefly about the management and the guys at the top of the pyramid, and also for the viewers, just speak a little about the Juve next gen, because obviously we know that Serie A clubs do not have the financial muscle. Hence, Andrea Agnelli, if I'm not mistaken, uh, this was his baby, the Juve next gen, and you saw a bunch of young Italian players and even foreign players emerged from the likes of Rovella, Miretti, Samuel Ealing Jr., of course, Dean Huyson, Matthias Sule, to name a few. Now, after the Agnelli consortium left, now you have a new ownership. You have Cristiano Giuntoli who's come in. So, what has changed over there? I know that finances are important. These sales book a direct profit in the books. But as a fan, what is your opinion on everything that's been happening at the top?
AJ, I feel like it started with good intent. If I'm not mistaken, it was the year 2018. It was a project close to Andrea's heart. The idea being essentially that the core idea being that, you've got the Primavera and you want to retain a very Italian core at Juventus. But what happened with the next gen also is that there was an eye on a lot of emerging talent around Europe, and you want
Yeah.
to kind of come in and blood them so that they're ready to step up. You know, many a time what happens is just because of the regulations, Juve will come in and give a few Primavera players a chance. But really,
Yeah.
where they are really blooded is the next gen. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of emerging talent that came through the ranks. Fortunately, unfortunately, Giuntoli has had to sell a bunch of that talent. You're very aware of Sule, and you're seeing the
Of
things that
course.
he's doing at Roma.
Hoyson
Uh,
as well. Dean Hoyson as well.
Hoyson, I mean, is a big regret, of course, for all of us. Fajoli, I mean, the way that it happened was very unfortunate. If you remember, you and I had spoken in November, December, and I said, AJ, no way will they sell him. So I was
Yeah.
very, very aghast when it came to pass. And when it happened, it was very heartbreaking, to see
Yeah.
like really one of your own, And you could see it in his interview yesterday. He refused to celebrate with the Fiorentina
Yeah.
team at the end to be part of that photograph. Two, he was
Yeah.
also from a point of view of when Del Piero interviewed him, he said, yes, he respectfully didn't speak about Motta. He said it'll
Yeah.
be disrespectful. He understood the moment, in time. He knows what it is. He bleeds that club. So when
Yeah.
you lose so many players of your own, yes, it hurts a lot. But I feel like Giuntoli is not solely liable for this. We don't know and we don't understand what is really happening at the back end in terms of
Mm.
the finances, which is why this whole project right now hangs in the balance. But Motta is just the face of it. But really, it starts like you said at the very top.
Yeah.
We don't know Giuntoli's limitations in terms of also, let's be clear that at Juventus, there is a dual lane that is running parallelly. There is a sporting project and there is a financial project.
Yeah.
And as far as the financial project has gone, Giuntoli has done exceptionally well. You're seeing a lot of spend, but you also see the outgoing. I mean, there's been financial amazing gains. We are
Yeah.
actually in a very, sustainable position. Even if the Champions League didn't happen, it's a big loss in terms of
Yeah.
revenue. So we can't think along those lines. But he has made us financially very stable on the financial side. But it's the sporting side we need to understand. Unfortunately, to gain in the financial side, that's where we've sacrificed the most in terms of the next gen. I mean, Hoyson at 17, 18 million and then buying Kelly is just, it's hard to fathom. Although in Giuntoli's defense, this was not a linear transaction,
Yeah.
So I think fans and people also need to understand that it's not like he sold Hoyson with the vision to buy Kelly. He
Yeah.
sold Hoyson, and then 5 months later, two ACLs down. You have Cabal
Yeah.
out. You have Bremer out.
Bremer
Two
out. Yeah.
ACLs. I mean, that is ridiculous for any team.
Yeah. Yeah.
That coupled with the fact that he's got long-term injuries, Cambiaso was out for a couple of months. It was a very desperate move, and
Mm.
not to mention Kelly was not his first choice. We had Danso down pat. We had him. He failed a medical. That's when on
Yeah.
deadline day and 2 days prior to deadline we signed Kelly. So
Yeah.
it's not as simple as it seems, and it's not as linear. So I think people need to cut Giuntoli some slack, and he has done a good job on the financial side.
Mm.
And it's very unfortunate that because I personally, my read on the situation is his hands were tied from the very top, which is why these sacrifices had to be made. You
Yeah.
know. So I think we have to be very realistic about where we stand, AJ, as a club, what our vision is. At the end of the day, after having done what he's done, Juventus is still the second youngest league team in the league. So there is a project in terms of a direction. You are focused on youth. You are blooding that youth with bright new ideas. But there is
Right.
also a combination of things that youth needs leadership. That youth needs some reference point to take and imbibe the mentality from. Motta's a young coach. He's come in. He's got no leaders on the pitch. He's got no leaders above him. He's the scapegoat in every interview. You don't see the
Yeah.
top management come. Off late,
Yeah.
obviously, sensing the ire of the fans, you see Giuntoli taking to the microphones. But
Yeah.
otherwise, everyone's been absent, you know. So I
Fair.
think
Fair.
we need to take cognizance of that as well. Like for a coach, for a team, you need a combination of factors to really, make something work. If it was as simple, AJ, as the coach is the be all and end all, then I think under Allegri version 2, Juve should have had a string of Scudetti. I
Yeah.
didn't see that happen. I didn't see that
True.
happen. I saw objectives of fourth and third place only.
True.
So
True.
it's not
True.
that simple. It's a combination of factors. You've got a guy, Allegri's experienced, but he's then with this really fatigued old team that can't run.
Yeah.
So it's an imbalanced combination. And now I think Motta's in an imbalanced combination because he's a young coach with limited match experience, in-game management experience, and he's got a young team with no leaders.
Yeah.
So that is bound to be, it's bound to be a very bipolar setup because there'll be nights where this team will come cracking back from 4-2 to draw level with Inter away from home at 4-all, beat Leipzig with 10 men, and then suddenly at home gets smashed by Atlanta 4-love, and then lose like this to Viola. I mean, it's just baffling. Absolutely baffling.
Right. Last question for you, Deej, before we close this video. We did a reel about this, you know, hypothetical situation where we spoke about Motta making it into the Champions League and not. Now, 2 match days have passed since we made that reel. Uh, I'll give you a scenario now. Hypothetically, Motta doesn't finish in the top four. Will you be in the camp of Motta in or Motta out?
Okay, look, it's not as simple, and it's very reductive to say Mota out, right? Like
Hmm.
I told you this when we were discussing this casually, the Juventus problem did not begin this season. The Juventus problem has existed since 2017.
Hmm.
That problem was disguised by the fact that Juve was having a run of Scudetti and like Sarri's coming in and winning it. Allegri version one was romping home, coming from behind. Uh, the Cardiff final, then of course the final against Barca. This team at that point in time disguised a lot of the issues because they were also up against a weak league. Not to take anything away from Juventus's achievements. Don't get me wrong. It's not Juve's fault that the league is shit. Juve owe it to themselves to win. They did that, fair play. But my point is that disguised a lot of the problems. You had an aging squad. You didn't plan of how you're going to replace this team. You didn't plan with the coaching. You had so much entitlement. Sarri comes in and wins you a Scudetto and you still sack him. Pirlo comes in and you talk about, okay, why did we let go of Allegri version 1? We let go of Allegri
Yeah.
version 1 because we wanted attractive football. So we want Sarri ball. Then Sarri comes in, he wins you a Scudetto, but no. Sarri, he doesn't live up to the Juve style, the Juve stilo. It doesn't work. Okay, so then Sarri is out. Okay, so we want to continue the Sarri ball project and bring in a young coach with fresh ideas. Let's bring in Pirlo.
Hmm.
But Pirlo doesn't work because now he didn't win us a league. He didn't win us a Scudetto, but he finished top 4. He got Champions League. He won us a Super Coppa, but it's not good enough. So what do we want? We go back to Allegri,
Oh yeah.
our comfort zone. And what happens with Allegri? You have a team that is aging. Allegri, if it's as simple as you change coach, okay, Allegri comes in, we need to be winning the Scudetti. Did you see the run of
Yeah.
that team in Allegri version 2 season 1? No. Where was the run? Nothing. Struggling. He came in, he sacked Ronaldo. Fair enough. Okay, the team has to sacrifice for each other. Great intent. But what did you set the team up for? Backwards and sideways. And what happened there? I didn't see anything happen. Then season 2, then season 3, when you suddenly start bringing in next gen. A lot of the next gen really came in because Allegri's
Allegri gave
gameplay
them
was so
debut.
sterile with no
Yeah.
with no fresh ideas. So what he did was he just brought in new players,
Yeah.
young players to kind of give this team some legs and youth.
Yeah.
But there was no system and no setup. So what did we do? We sacked him.
Yep.
And then we want Motta because we want fresh ideas and we want to focus on youth. So here you are, focus on youth. So are you seeing the trajectory? This season was written in Juventus's destiny, whether it was Allegri helming it, whether it was Sarri, whether it is Conte version 2, whether it is, you can name it, whether it's Pep Guardiola.
Hmm.
This season was due. How good or bad? Okay, fair enough. Whether we end up 4th or 5th or 10th, yes, there will be a variable depending on who's leading the team. But we were due a season like this. And we have to be realistic and we can't be entitled. And we can't think, okay, sack Motta. Okay, who's coming in? Mancini is coming in. De Zerbi is coming in. I mean, what are they going to do? Mancini is past his sell-by date. With due respect, I mean, to all his accomplishments, he's past
Yeah.
his sell-by date. So where is
Yeah.
your youth project? So what you're really showing us is that the project doesn't work. It failed. Which, if the project fails, if Motta goes, the project's and then you're like, okay, Mancini comes in. Mancini turns around and says, I need a KDB in the middle of my midfield. I don't need a Locatelli. So where's
Yeah.
your youth project? That means Giuntoli's failed. If Giuntoli's failed, the man who's hired him has also failed.
Yeah.
So it is. Are you seeing the domino and are you seeing the effect? We sacking Motta effectively is an acknowledgement of the fact that the project has failed. And you cannot, at the first sign of turbulence, you cannot come in and say, let's sack the coach and everything's going to go away. It's not. This is a systemic problem, and we need to understand that there is a systemic problem. I don't know how much Giuntoli meant, but there is, if genuinely he came in from the point of view of saying this is a hard time, unacceptable results. It's a very hard time. We're emerging from this, but with Thiago Motta, yes, it is the right plane. You can't sack him with 9 games. What is the point? Objectively, you take very rational decision at the end of the season. There's no point sacking him, bringing in a Mancini who suddenly is not going to come in for 6 months, who's going to want a 2-year contract. Where's your project then?
Yeah.
So are you seeing what has happened since 2017-18? It's just been a repetition. Motta and Giuntoli are the face of this project. So therefore, the season being shit is being put on them. But it's a systemic problem that's emerging actually from a very dated time from 17-18 when we've been struggling. Internally, systemically, from the top. Why is there no acknowledgement of that? Of course, AJ, no holds barred. Motta has a lot to learn. It's a very steep learning curve. He has to hit the ground running. The jury's still out. Look, for me, I'm a Juve fan. I don't care about attacking play. Yes, I want to see a more European Juve, but I want winning play. Yeah. I'm accustomed to that. So I want a winning coach. And I think somewhere, Motta must be great because he came in on top in his thesis. Pirlo ranked second in that same batch. But it really makes you wonder, if you have such clarity on who goes and who stays, then by God, you've got to have clarity on who starts by match 30th.
True.
That's that. And the second very important point, and Motta needs to understand, and he has to come to the fore and come to the party where, look, 4th place or 5th place, let's keep the finances out. Of course, you will need to qualify for the no doubt about it. We're not doing it for our honor. We have to do it because we are entitled to it. We have to, we have to represent Italy, right? But the fact is, you have to see growth in this team. I can't see Chiesa leave, and I can't see Fagioli leave, and then whoever stays, I need to see that those guys are growing.
True.
Coop Miners is the best midfielder in Italy for the last 2 seasons. I mean, he's poop miners right now. What is that?
Shadow of himself, man.
Like, what is that? And who is that on? Motta has to have that clarity. We spent 60 million on this asset. You've got to be clear on how you're going to deploy him.
Yeah.
And because you put 60 million on this asset, you cannot reduce your number 10. Yildiz is the most important player on this team. He's a game changer. You always play your game changer. I don't care if your game changer runs only 100 meters in training. He has to play. Simple. Because if he doesn't play, you're not fucking making any shots on goal. And you're not making any shots on goal, you're not going to score. And you're not going to score, you're going to get scored against. You have to have a reaction. So it's very clear that he has to come from a place of having that clarity. That's his role, AJ. If I see that in these last 9 games, if I see that there is a structured lineup, this guy's formation is clear, that ball possession is not sterile. When I have 70%, 69, 65, 60% ball possession, I need to be seeing 10 to 15 shots on goal. That is growth. That is me.
Yeah.
That means your ideas are being imbibed. Then I don't care that you sold Danilo. I don't care you sold Chiesa. Yes, I care you sold Fagioli, but I don't care when Danilo. Okay, wages need to clear up. Okay, fine, heavy, but I need to see the growth of the other guys. I don't want to hear after you let go of Danilo. Oh, suddenly Gatti, suddenly Alberto Costa. We don't know who he is. We've hardly seen him play. He's not getting any opportunity. Then why is he here? You've signed this guy with some intent, right? It's that simple. So that clarity needs to be there. AJ, that is Motta's role.
Yeah.
Let's say that, so Motta's got this role to play. But what role are the players playing? Coop Minor
Equally
starts
important.
whether he is sick. Coop Minor starts whether he is unwell, whether he is well. I don't see anything from him. I see like 15 ball touches in a game. I see errors happening, and I see no intent to recover from those errors. Nico Gonzalez gets a start in and out. Where's the grinta, man? Like, I want to see that. I want to see you run that flank up and down. Like, what? I don't understand. Like, Fagioli goes to Fiorentina and look at how he stepped up. And Nico Gonzalez comes to Juve and maybe it's just too big a step. So you have to also question the players. Where's the leadership on this team? I see Locatelli with an armband. I can only hear great words. But what is he doing on the field?
Yeah.
He's lax. You've got to own up. The only guy who shows, like a sliver of leadership is Gatti. So Gatti's got to play. He's got to play. Vega showing leadership, he's got to play.
Yeah.
You've got to play these guys. You've got to blood them and you've got to make sure that kind of rubs off on everyone else. You can't be in a state where, the thing that hurts anyone, any fan, Juve fan, Roma fan, any football fan, your team is going to win or lose, right? Or maybe draw. Win, loss and draw is set in stone.
Yep.
But you want to see that your team tried. I don't care about the result if my team has tried. If there's blood, sweat, tears and balls, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I just see these guys, 1 love down, 2 love down, no reaction from the bench. No, I don't even see players clapping and saying, come on, fight. Grinta, I don't see that. Like, where is that? You're fucking Juventus. Like, where is that, man? Like, it's here. Come on. Show us. Just show us you have the balls. I don't care about the result. End up 10th. But show me you give a fuck. Show me that you're insulted when you walk into that Firenze stadium and you want to show that the pride of the shirt is above all. Show me. You're going to run till you fall into the ground. Show me. Don't just jog there and like have 10 touches on the ball and then look down and droop and be like, man, I love Juve and I'm just here. No. I love Juve, but I ain't playing for them. So where's the meritocracy? You got to play if you're good enough to play.
Yep.
You got to play. You're training hard. Then you show what you're training hard for. Otherwise, just play the guys who have the talent. At least they'll have shots on goal.
Yeah. DJ, I'm not even going to get to Dusan Vlahovic because then this video will go on for 1 hour. But I like how your answer was very grey and not black and white, like your club's colors, which I did a nice wordplay on right now. But amico mio, we have the international break, a fortnight, 14 days, where Motta, can regather his thoughts and possibly get into the business half of the season because, as you know, that fourth place is so competitive. You have Lazio, Fiorentina, Bologna. Bologna are fourth. Roma, Milan. Do not count them out. So there are a host of teams, and you may go head to head with some of these teams, which we will get to in our due course of time in Calcio Charcha. But thank you so much for tonight. And in fact, not tonight, we're recording this tonight, but this video goes out tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, venting out. I think this will resonate with pretty much every Juventus fan, Juve fan out there, every Juventino out there. Any parting thoughts before we close this video?
Well, AJ, I think the end of the season is going to be a banger for Serie A at large, and I really hope, for the sake of Motta, that he is really able to, get it together. Whatever marbles he's lost, he really needs to get it together. There has to be a lot of clarity in his communication. There has to be clarity in, his communication with the management and the players. And at the same time, there has to be a lot of clarity in terms of the players, standing up and being counted, because they're as much, a part of this. And I think Jontoli and the management also have to take stock. I think when we come to the end of the season, that's really when we sit down and we say, what went down? How did it go down? There are a lot of factors. Injuries, he's been unlucky. I mean, the team's been
Yeah,
unlucky with injuries. We've been unlucky, in a few games where we played well, we couldn't bring it home. But, after all of that, AJ, after everything, 2 weeks ago, this was still the best defense in Italy.
yeah,
2 weeks ago, this was still fourth place team.
yeah,
2 weeks ago, I mean, like, we were what? We were going to penalties with Empoli. We were still in it.
yeah,
All of this is a systemic problem, and I think the team really needs to just huddle together, stay close, and get over the line together. Very important. If this constant talk of Motta out is us defeating ourselves. As fans, we have to be responsible. Every time I read anywhere, it's so toxic and so fucking negative. What if the team doesn't sack Motta? What you're doing is you're defeating the man. He's still trying
yeah,
in his limited capacity so far, but he's trying. Why defeat them? Let's just get behind them and let's just see what happens. And then we take stock. And then we say, okay, Motta not working at the end of the season. We have options then. We sit down and see who can take this youth project forward.
yeah,
What is the point of coming in with a caretaker? He'll do well for 6 months. Suddenly everyone's, got hands in their
yeah.
pants and say, let's give him a 2-year contract, and then you're stuck. You're stuck because then you're like, okay, this guy works, but it's another 2 years of mediocrity. At least now Motta has understood the players. The players have understood what he wants. If Motta has not lost the dressing room, Motta must stay at least till the end of the season. If he's lost the dressing room, they're not going to play for him. Sack him.
Fair, fair, fair.
So yeah,
I
I'd
think,
like to see. I'd like to see. Sorry to your original question. Parting thoughts are: I'd really like to see Juve, step the fuck up. This team is good enough for a top 4, top 3 finish in Italy. With due respect to all the teams with them, in front of them, and behind them, this team owes it to themselves to fight for that spot. And it'll be a great. I mean, if we can finish third, I know it's really delusional thinking at this moment in time, but if they can, it's a great ground zero here to build from.
yeah,
Everyone has belief. Then they know the pace of the league. They know they've played 3 tournaments. They know what the tough matches in Europe are, how to pace themselves. Motta then knows who his inherent leaders are. But I want to see that fight going into the last 9 games.
yeah.
I want to see the blood, sweat, tears, and balls. That's what I want to see.
Lovely. I think that's a perfect way to end this video. Thanks so much for joining in once again. And if you guys are watching till here, thank you once again for all the love and support. Do like the video, share it with your friends, especially the Juventini, and of course, subscribe to Calcio Charcha for more content. This is Ajay Menon. That was DJ, our in-house Juventino, signing off. Ciao, ciao.
Fino alla fino. Fino alla fine. I beg your pardon. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.